the scoring software. And so you want, the ideal range is 5 points between them all. High to low, 5 points. We stretch with our clients up to 10 because we know how the bureaus work, right? The bureaus are like fishermen. They go out with a big net, they just throw it over the side, and they catch whatever they can. And in theory, they would throw back the stuff that's not yours, right? But they don't. The only time the bureaus care about the accuracy of the information is when you say something to them. That's why there's a big push, and it has been for the last few years, more of an awareness for you need to be aware of what is in your credit report. Because if you're not, who knows? I had, and it keeps popping up, and I keep having to deal with it. I have somebody in Illinois with exactly the same name, almost the same birth date, and their stuff keeps popping onto my credit. And about every 5 years, something will pop up, and I'll have to call, and I'll have to get it all fixed up, and it takes anywhere from 45 to 90 days, maybe even 6 months, to clean up one swipe of the pen. It can be a brutal, and it can take longer. I know people who have clear identity discrepancies. It's obvious it's not them, that they've been fighting with the bureaus for years. Now, they're not our clients, I'll tell you that for sure, but I know these people who have been doing it for years. And it's a matter of the strategies you use when you talk to the bureaus, how you approach them. You can't just talk to them the same way as everybody else does. We have over 28 strategies we use on our accuracy side to make sure what you have reporting is accurate. And it can be a battle. I mean, it's put on the gloves, let's go to war type of scenarios oftentimes, because the bad news is we're not their clients, right? Credit bureaus, we're not their clients. The banks are. We're data points. We're just data. So they don't care. Brad Burnet, Bradley Burnet, Bradley D. Burnet, Bradley whatever, S. There's a Bradley D. Burnet. You guys don't want to meet that guy. He's no good. Okay? So know that, though. It can be a battle to get this stuff reporting right. And that's why we want to have all the accuracy we can so we can get approvals. We don't want to be in a position where Chris, good scores, decent range, right? He gets an approval from Wells Fargo. Now, it's a business line of credit. Business lines of credit, you're typically the first round. Now, I will say this. They're starting to loosen up again a little bit, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. I would suggest taking advantage of it, because if you follow history, it's starting to repeat itself. And we just hope it doesn't repeat itself the same way, right? Because we don't need another 2008. But the trend is what the trend is. So take advantage of it, but know that business lines of credit, you're typically going to go into manual underwriting unless it's a smaller request, a smaller line. So the second you peak over 20 to 30,000, depending on the institution, you're manual underwriting no matter what. So he gets automatically approved 50. It hits manual underwriting. Now he's approved based on these scores. Hits manual underwriting. They give him 10. He loses $40,000 of available capital to run his business because of what his profile looked like. This is his profile. Chase authorized user. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I will be. None of these banks are going to give you $50,000 on your dad's, your mother's, your friend's reputation. Because that's what an authorized user is. We've been taught for years, just put an authorized user on it, it'll help your score go up. It absolutely will. And if you're running out to look at a car, you might sneak one by the goalie. You might. But if you're going for business lines of credit, they're gonna smack it right back at you. It's gonna stop you square in the face because somebody else is making that payment. Somebody else is now you might be making the payment, but it doesn't look like you are. You're not responsible for it. At the end of the day, Dad's responsible if this doesn't get paid, not you. And so that's what it looks like in underwriting. This kicks you out, you're done. A co-branded card. It's less valuable then a tier 1 bank, Visa or MasterCard, and Yonkers. I don't even know what that is. Right? Something back east. So this is why he lost $40,000. His profile was not fundable, even though his score was. So the solution is right here. Credit profile optimization. That's the solution to any of these problems that I presented. Now, there are ways to do it, right? I'm going to give you a couple strategies here. These are freebies. So write these down, because I'm going to go maybe a little faster than I have to. Optimize your identity first. I've already talked about this quite extensively. This is what Merrill's profile looked like when he started this process back in some of the early days. 21 addresses, 8 names, 3 phone numbers, 3 employers, 2 socials. That right there alone kicks you out of automatic underwriting. It's called a hawk alert. And it flags the software immediately. Boom, you're out. You're a risk because there is some sort of fraud taking place. How many aliases do you have on your credit reports? If you haven't looked recently, I suggest checking them. We'll even send you a link. Give us your information. We'll send you a link to myfico.com. You can find out exactly what you look like on 28 different FICO scores, the most frequently used and commonly used scoring software versions right now. There's, oh, by the way, 85 versions of software that are out there. 9 releases of FICO. 85 versions of software in each release. And so you got to know how you score in every single one of those to be able to get approvals. Now, I'm not trying to scare you, but that's the reality you face. Does anybody work for Wells Fargo? Okay, you bank there. That's fine. Do you get your free FICO score from them occasionally?
So it doesn't become free from
Discover does it as well. It's kind of a new trend. Everyone's starting to do it. Yeah. So Wells Fargo, I use that specifically because if you go to Wells Fargo and you get your free FICO score, they use FICO 8 to give you your free unweighted version of your score. If you go to Wells Fargo that same day and say, hey, I want to get a mortgage, FICO 3. Completely different versions. And FICO 3 they use is mortgage weighted. It's an industry weighted score, so it'll be completely different than your unweighted scores if you're not an optimized profile. Holy smokes, it's like the deck is stacked against us from the get-go. That's why the accuracy of everything is so important. It's paramount to your success as a borrower. So with Merrill, clean this up. Now we've got it down to 2 addresses, 1 name, 1 phone number, 1 employer, 1 social. That's a clean profile. We are a single address away from ideal, from the ideal profile. Now there's a bunch of little factors that go into the sidelines of this. Do you know you can create a personal credit identity that you use specifically for borrowing that has some bearing on what your legal identity really is, but that makes it so you're in a position where you have the upper hand with lenders? There's a way to do that. There's a lot of little strategies you can do right in here just to make yourself a little more fundable so you have a little more control. And you got to take advantage of those. Optimize your data for accuracy. 40 characteristics, I already mentioned this. It measures 40 characteristics. Here's a freebie for you. If you have bad credit, and guys, I would venture a guess that no one in here could show me a credit report that I would go, holy cow, this is horrible. I've seen train wrecks on credit reports. I've seen the worst of the worst. And what we know is bad things happen to good people. It's the reality we live in, especially in the world of finance and investment. Sometimes stuff just goes sideways. And whether it's our lack of planning or our over-planning or some outside force, it happens. And so when that happens, we start looking at our bad credit and going, I need to fix this. Here's the challenge. 40 characteristics it measures, 10 of them deal with negative. That's it, just 10. Now, can you get some pretty dramatic improvements by cleaning up some negative trade lines? Absolutely. Absolutely. We have clients, because we know all 40, that we will build a profile around a negative trade line if we can't get it removed, because there's no guarantee that we can get it removed. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're talking to a credit repair company and they say, I guarantee you we can get this removed, turn a little bit sideways and look at them from the corner of your eye a little bit. Because one of two things is going on. They're either lying to you straight up, or they're doing something at the very best, or the very least, or worst, however you want to look at it, that is illegal. Maybe they have access to e-Oscar. What I do know about those companies is they go away quickly. And they take advantage of everybody they can. They usually charge fairly high dollar amounts for very small levels of work and success, and then they're gone. So if somebody's guaranteeing you they can clean up your credit, just be careful. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't use them, I'm just saying be careful. Because A, it's only 10, and B, they'll probably disappear pretty quick. But if you know how to work with the other 30 positive characteristics of profiles, you can actually build an 800 credit profile with a collection, with negative trade lines. We've done it. It's about knowing all the factors of optimization. It's about knowing every piece to create an 800 profile. It's not just about being able to clean up derogatories. All right? Here's what the real difference looks like. This is Lexington Law. Merrill co-founded this company. 24% is their benchmark of fantastic results. It's on their website. Check it out. You can look at it. It's easy to see. They do this. Send in letters that say, not mine, not late. That is their disputing process. That is the one strategy they have. These are some of the strategies we have. We have an accuracy department, just so you know, we're not credit repair. Okay? We're not. We're better. And the facts are in. If I told you the real numbers that our accuracy department gets, you probably wouldn't believe me. But we'll pull 30 to 40% success on a bad day. On a bad day. I'm not saying if you have a bankruptcy we can get it removed, but we have, based on inaccuracies, not based on any misinformation or any lies saying, that's not my bankruptcy. No, if there's inaccuracies, the Fair Credit Reporting Act requires information to be reported accurately. So we can then dispute the information being reported if there's inaccuracies. And the burden of proof is on them, not us. So we get to say, prove that it's mine. And if they cannot prove it, it gets to be removed. Now, we even have a law firm at no additional cost with our programs that will take the bureaus to court and sue them on your behalf. No additional cost to you. They will do that if you have the right causes of action. It would require us reviewing your profile to know if you have the right causes of action, but most people do. That's just the reality we live in. So, the big thing with credit optimization is the value of accounts. You can have a positive account that only gives you 5 points, or it gives you 50. And it's the same with negatives. You can have a negative that is negative 5 or negative 50. The beauty and the power of optimization is squeezing these so they are the least, to minimize the negative and expand the positive. Get us as many positive points out of every account we can get. That's what optimization is about. Because it's not just about getting rid of the negatives. It's about making lagging or negative factors diminished, even if they are still on your report. So that's what optimization does. Increases the yield, lowers the negative draft. Fundability. Synchronize your due date and your reporting date. If you use this one strategy, we have people all the time who say, hey, I don't want to pay any interest, so I pay my card off every month. If you pay your card off every month, you could be losing valuable FICO score points. Because from the mouth of the guy who I pointed to, he said when it comes to revolving accounts, less is better than more, but some is better than none. Because the scoring software cannot score nothing. If your balance is 0 every time it reports, you're a nothing. You're nil, you're null, you don't count. And so you want to have some, but not too much. We can tell you exactly what the sweet spot is if you want.
Yeah,
Now, I also know...
Could you tell us that right now?
Let me think about that for a minute. I also know that it's less than $100. I also, and I could be more specific, but less than 100 is going to get you almost every point you can get. The value of not paying interest is huge for many people, right? So synchronize your date, your due date, and your reporting date. Simple. If you ask the bureaus, or if you ask the creditor, they have to tell you when they report. It's part of the information, whatever, some act that was passed about information. I don't know. I can't think of the name because of what's happening right now. But optimize your revolving. What's that?
When you're ready, I got a question for you.
Okay. Optimize your revolving account portfolio. So what does that look like? All accounts are not created equal. I talked about Tier 1 cards, right? Major banks, Tier 1, Visa, MasterCard. If you have this account, 5,000 limit, 500 balance, 5 years old. So you're carrying a 10% utilization is what that is. If you have that account, these banks will get you 100% of FICO points that account can bring you. Discover, American Express, and Capital One that you picked up online, 80%. So if you have these, just know, I'm not telling you to get rid of them, just know that you're losing 20% of the points that you could have if it was a Tier 1 Visa or MasterCard. So you may never get to 850. If 850 is not a big deal, no problem. You're not going to get there because you don't have the ability to. If you have a Nordstrom's, a department store card, they're worth 60%, and then your finance company cards are worth 40%. So you will never get those 60% of points that are available with a Tier 1 Visa or MasterCard. Now, warning right now. This is my warning, so don't come back and yell at me if you guys do this. Yes. Do not close any of your revolving accounts. If you go out and just start closing cards, you could blow up your entire profile. You could dump your scores. It's like playing soccer in a minefield, and you don't know where the next step is or where the next mine is. We had a guy, one of our clients who came in, he had a Home Depot card. We told him to close it. He closed it. His score went up 22, 24 points, something like that. He told his brother-in-law about that, bless you. And his brother-in-law went and closed his. His score dumped over 30 points. Why? Well, our client's was less than 6 months old. I believe the balance was 1,000, or the limit was 1,000 or 1,500 bucks, something like that. His brother-in-law's card was over 5 years old. So he had passed valuable scoring thresholds in the card, which added to his aging, which in turn, when he lost that, dumped his scores. Because when you're now, actually, let me cover this. How to ruin your credit and save 10% on your next purchase. How many of you have done it? How many? Let's moment of truth. How many of you right now have a Target card in your wallet? TJ Maxx. Who else does it? Nordstrom's. Walmart. I don't know. Does Walmart do this?
I got Victoria's Secret, baby.
Victoria. I got 3.
Put those things on backwards.
Gotta have Victoria's Secret. So, yeah, every time you go into a store and they go, "Hey, do you want to save 10%?" You're gonna kill your score. The reason it kills it is because of this. You drop your average aging, you take on an inquiry, and you get a 40% value junk card added to your profile. So there's nothing about it that's good, unless you're spending $20,000 at Target. Then save $2,000, and then close the card later, right? Other than that, it's not worth a $20, $30, $40 savings. And that's a pretty generous amount that you're buying from Target, 400 bucks. These are the thresholds. This is what happened to our client's brother-in-law. There are thresholds, and when you pass these, you get bonus points in your score. And it works negatively, and it's even worse to the negative when you come down. It's worse as you fall than when you climb. So 2 years, 3 years, 6, 11, 25, those are the thresholds that as you pass those, you get bonus points in your score. Think about that the next time you're about to open an account. The next time you're about to take on a new revolving account. What's that going to do to your average age? We had a client who just 2 months ago took on, well, she says it wasn't her, she says it was her daughter that did it, but we'll see how that plays out. But 2 new accounts, dumped her average age from just over 3 to just below 2. She lost 60 points overnight. called us up fuming mad. What are you guys doing to my credit? We're like, I have no idea. Let's take a look. We took a look and we went, so what are these authorized user accounts? Oh, well, that was my daughter. She did it. Okay. So, did you see the date that you got those? Did you see the date your score dropped? It was 1 day apart. That was the only action taken in her entire profile. 1 day apart. Had nothing to do with us. She sent us an apology. It was heartfelt, and we appreciated it. Because it had nothing to do with us. She actually went against our instructions and did that, but it dumped her that many points just by dropping below the 2-year mark. It's important to know these things. These are things we're never taught, right? Now, here's another one. Optimize your installment loan portfolio. Installment loans are where you get the depth of the heft of your credit profile. So, typical auto loan, $20,000 purchase, $5,000 down payment, the loan value then becomes $15,000, and you make a $500 first payment. Balance the loan is 100%, right, at the $15,000. If you just went in and paid like this, now mind you, take into account what your payment will be. This is where it's like a wise consumer choice. If your purchase price is $20,000 and you give them 0 down, and you take that entire $5,000 that you were going to use, you get a higher value on the loan, which gives you more points in the algorithm. And then you pay $5,000, which means your first payment is several months worth of payments, which then drops your balance to 75%, which you get another boost. So we're getting a boost in score, a boost in score, a boost in score. And we've advanced our score point by about 10 months. Just with that one little change in that. It's the same amount of money that you were going to give out anyway. But just switch where it happens. Now, if it makes your payment go from $275 to $830, that may not be a wise choice from a consumer standpoint, right? That may put you way out of sync on what you can make on a payment level. It's not usually that dramatic, but check that. It's usually not dramatic enough that this isn't worth it because it gets you more value quickly in your credit score. And you can do it with any mortgage, any installment, any type of loan that is that installment type loan. And it all lends to the credit optimization. That lender's bullseye, right? Because regardless of what it is you're doing, most of us in here are either new investors or we've been investing in real estate for a while and we're looking for additional strategies. What I do know is I have never met a real estate investor to this day who said, I don't need more money. I never have. I had one of my mentors, as an investor myself, one of my mentors, net worth of over $100 million, sat me down, we were actually at breakfast in the Ritz-Carlton down the road. I don't know what city it's in, but where? Probably, yes. And we're having breakfast, and we're just actually just hanging out, chatting and talking, and he starts talking about money and this deal that he has coming up. And I'm thinking, oh, he's just gonna get it, right? He's like, so I'm looking for money and blah, blah, blah. And I asked him, why are you looking for money? You could write a check out of your checking account. Why not just pay for it? He goes, well, duh, right? Leverage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why do I want to put all my money at risk? I don't want to risk a small portion of mine. He goes into all the explanations. And he goes, listen, Brad, you will never have enough money if you're going to be a real estate investor. If you're going to take this seriously and you're going to get after it, there is always going to be a bigger deal coming up. There's always going to be another deal that you will never have enough cash of your own money to do every deal that comes your way. And I went, okay. And I've taken that to heart. It actually means something to me because the guy was loaded. He bought breakfast. So that's all I'm saying, right? And it was good. But it really sunk in. Like, if I'm going to really take on investing on, there's always a bigger deal. You know, move into commercial, right? A 150-unit complex in a nice city where there's a continual flow of residents is going to be much different than a single family in West Valley, Utah. If you've never been there, it's fantastic. Stop by. So, whatever it is you're doing with this, whatever it is you're doing with the investments, leverage is the only way you're going to make more money. Talking to Jim, right? The vendors, the different instruction that Linda brings in and that Dan has welcomed as part of the Santa Barbara REIA, their knowledge level is incredible. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it, because that leverage is the thing that will get you the time or get you whatever it is you're looking for. I know a lot of people, I have a client right now who is 63, he's a doctor, and I'm thinking the guy's loaded, right? He comes to me in a phone conversation with our team, and he goes, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm 63 and I don't have a retirement. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, that's not uncommon though. I was just surprised because he was a doctor. He was real cocky. But it's not uncommon. And so whatever the reason is, there's a way to advance it if you have the right tools. And if you have power tools, right? Because there's a way to do it, and then there's a way to do it fast and effectively. And credit optimization can be that leverage point for anything you're trying to accomplish. Now, you had a question earlier.
Yeah, that question is kind of a stupid thing, but I like to ask it. We refinance our properties, primary residence and a rental property here in town. Took 8 months to do it, 800 credit score, definitely had, income to debt issues. They did qualify us, but at the very end of 8 months, they said, it's all conditional, you're not gonna get it unless you get that carbon monoxide detector in that rental property. Is that just a regulation, or is that something weird?
Was it a Fannie Mae? Because that depending on the dollar amount, Fannie Mae requires that. But that, yeah, I haven't.
Carbon monoxide, as being an architect, carbon monoxide is now required by the building codes. So in all the new construction and any renovations or additions, and they're now retrofitting, the retroactively requiring needs to be installed in existing properties.
Okay, so
There
just
you go.
regulation.
Regulation, yeah. Because in Utah, that's not a regulation. Smoke detectors still are, though. But I mean, we're Utah. I don't care about carbon monoxide. We're fine, guys. We're fine. We promise. Yeah. Oh, and hey, have any of you ever been to Salt Lake Valley? We have a great little pollution bucket, right? Little bowl of pollution. It just sits right between the mountains on each side. It's beautiful when it's sunny, but come on in when it's winter. A little thing called inversion sets in, and you have to get up to about 8,000 feet to get above the smog and yeah. Asthma is a real thing.
We'll all die 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I do want to say, and I want to say this about any of the people who are coming in to present to you today, trust what you hear today, but verify it, right? Trust what you hear, but verify it. This is our Better Business Bureau rating. If you came up to me right now and said, you know what, your optimization sounds fantastic, I don't even care what it costs, here's my credit card, let's do it. My response would be no. Because you don't know enough about us, and I certainly don't know enough about you. Because if we're going to work with you on your credit, it's a partnership. There's work on both sides. We do the heavy lifting for sure, but there's work on both sides. And it is a partnership. Credit is a very intimate thing. I hate to say it, right? It is just numbers, and for us it's kind of like, but the reality is we take each client's situation very seriously because it is very, very personal to every single one of you. And so it's a very intimate scenario where we are working with you on one of the things that means the most to you, and it's oftentimes the most neglected of things. At the end of the day, credit, it runs the world when it comes to business and to finance. So check us out. We do have a flawless Better Business Bureau record. It's who we are because we do a great job taking care of our clients.
How do you repair someone's credit who has 8 or 10 different identities? How do you do that?
Aha! So now that's the secret sauce.
Okay.
The question is, how do we do it when it comes to cleaning up someone's identity? That's the secret sauce.
So you're not going to tell me?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Not here. Not on video, for sure. All right. So, wealth, guys. But we believe that wealth is when other people's money makes more money than you do. Makes more money for you than you do, right? What it looks like to partner with us, it's very simple. You've seen the presentation, so you're ahead of the curve. So now you actually qualify for our credit funding analysis, where we will go through your entire credit report, this My FICO report, in depth, and let you know exactly what it looks like and how far away from fundability you are. We'll let you know how big the mountain is you have to climb. Okay? Now, with us, within the first 30 days, you're going to have an optimization plan if you follow our instructions and work on your side of the process, right? You do your part of the lifting. 30 days, you'll have a plan, you'll have a calendar. You get quarterly updates, daily support for at least 2 years, or until all of your scores are 800 plus. So it could be more than 2 years. Okay? And with business lines, we'll support you on the business side until you have a minimum of $100,000 in business lines of credit. Check writing access to the full line, not credit cards. And that sets the foundation to take it to a quarter, $500,000, $1 million, once you have that foundation of the 100,000. So personal credit and business, it's $4,000, and then 1% on any of the business lines. So up to $1 million, we'll receive a fee of 1% for any of the business lines we help you get. And that means at the most, you get $1 million, you pay us $10,000. How many of you would trade $10,000 for $1 million? If you're not raising your hand, that wasn't a trick question. It's an all-day kind of thing. And then personal optimization, only 3. Personal and business for a couple is 6 or 5. We do payment plans if we need to for people, because Merrill doesn't want anybody to not be able to take advantage of this because of money. Okay, so if you have questions, write down your information. We gave you these cool cards. Write your information on those, hand them back to us, and we'll contact you to give you a free credit analysis. All you have to do is get the My FICO score, guys, and that's all it is. It's very simple. It's a clean process. Get us your information. We'll be at the booth all day, and then we'll be back here at 5:30 to do our business presentation. Thanks for the time, guys.
Okay. So, thank you, Brad, very much. Excellent. Very good. Appreciate that. And